Alright, today we're having a special look at Santa's Magic Mishap by Velma Forever. Alright, so we're... Hi, Brain Meats! Here we are, in Santa's Magic Mishap. Oh, okay, that didn't kill us, and I really appreciate that. By Velma Forever, who is also Melongard on, the Reddits and the Twitters. Give them a follow. And... fudge. This is actually kind of, it's a B-side episode because I hadn't been loading. I hadn't been intending to do an episode. I had all my December stuff sorted, and then Melon got in touch. Now, what am I like, okay, let's figure this out. So it doesn't seem like I can sort of control what I'm doing. There's bubbles up there. I feel weird about that. But anyways, Melon got in touch with me, asked me to take a look at this level, and I am always a big fan of Melongard's levels, so I was like, yeah, like absolutely, I want to take a look at this, but because I've already got everything sorted, it's gonna have to be a B-side. What am I missing a thing? Like, is there something that's supposed... There's like... Now that's telling us to go up. What is... There's a mechanic in this level and I'm not seeing it. There's no grab switch here. There doesn't seem to be anything interactable. Like, there's no sticker switches or anything like that. Can I can't... Oh my god. Okay. I've got feelings about that. I'm not happy with the way that was blocked out in scene. Okay, so that's gonna be on a timer. There's... Wait, what? That's not on a timer? But there's the button. And it made a wow sound. Well, I'm not getting this. And that's a shame, but I'm not like really... Am I supposed to go... I can't go up. I don't really seem to have a lot of control over... There's a womb sound. Okay, we got a womb. And now, like... Well, I'm confuzzled and confused. And that's... Oh, fudge! Come on! That's our 3 minutes, and I don't know... We're gonna have to figure out what's going on, and then we'll talk about it back at the hub. I'm really sorry, Melongard. But it's not... I'm not figuring it out. So, but I'll see if I can figure it out, and we'll talk about this back at the hub. We'll see you there. See yas! And we're back, and Santa's Magic Mishap by Velma Forever, and I'd say, unfortunately, it is an orange diamond. There's some cool things about the level. There's some stuff I really liked about the level, but there are a couple of bits, one in particular, I think that drags it down a lot, and I wasn't originally intending to do any kind of Christmassy type of stuff this year. I'm not like really a Christmassy kind of person, and the season had kind of gone by, but Melongard got in touch and said, hey, I made this level, would you take a look at it? And I said, yeah, you know, I would love to. I think that was really cool, so we ended up doing a bit of Christmas this year anyways, and that is perfectly fine with me, but yeah, at the end of the day, it is an orange diamond. Now, to start things off on the positive side, and I really liked the setup to the level. There was a bit of a cutscene that we didn't take a look at the very beginning that's setting up the story. You and Santa, you're delivering the presents, and Santa's sleigh is run out of the magic dust that it takes to fly, so you've got to turn on the vacuum cleaner at the top of the North Pole to suck up all the dust, to refuel the sleigh, and you know, get yourself moving. And the cutscene is set up pretty well. You can actually run and leave the cutscene if you want to. You still have control over your sack thing, but like, I liked it. It was nice, it was cute, and it gives us the the deal as to what we are engaging with. I also really liked, in general, the presentation. I find that Melengard is a really strong creator in this area. Does gameplay really well as well, does level design really well as well, but presentation tends to be top-notch, and I found that to be the case here. A lot of times when we're dealing with like Christmassy themed levels, and they're darker in the sense that they're at night, but they're generally kind of like poppy and cheerful and, you know, colorful because it's Christmas. And not in this case. It's like you're in this post-apocalyptic hexscape. I guess Santa's sleigh crashing was much more disastering than one would imagine. You've got, you know, broken out bits of building, and you've got rubble, and everything is cracked, and you know, nails are sticking out everywhere, and like, I just really liked it. It was a cool, well-presented environment that is a, you know, a little bit different than your usual Christmassy themes, and that was very, very cool. I appreciated that. The basic gameplay, for the most part, I did find enjoyable. I like the level interactions, except for one that we'll talk about in a little bit. But I like the level interactions in general. I like the idea that you could actually take the blocks that you needed to continue the level. You could take those into the special gameplay mechanic area and drag those up with you, and I thought that was a really neat effect. I thought that was pretty cool. Some good, if slightly tricky, use of bounce pads about midway through the level, where you've got to kind of not be thrown. You have bounce pads on the ceiling, and they want to throw you down onto some spikes, so you got to be really careful as you're bouncing from the platforms that you're on. And I thought that was like a nice, cool, bit of a tricky part. So, like, gameplay, I largely enjoyed. So what were the issues in the level? And there's two. One is kind of minor and I think is easy to fix, and the other's a little bit more major, and I don't really quite know the advice to give on it because I'm not sure what's going into the production. But as far as the minor issue, and we had that bit in the first impression section where I just got kind of like dead stuck, and I didn't know what was going on, and I didn't know where I was screwing up. And it turned out that the button that I was interacting with, and I kept on hitting it, and I was hearing a noise, and I thought that something was being triggered, but I couldn't find anything in the environment. And what you're actually supposed to do with those blue buttons is that you're supposed to continue pressing them as they charge something up, and that will eventually cause something to change in the environment. In this case, it was going to make some blue bounce pads turn on so that you could interact with them. Now, the issue there is the audio cue is really easy to miss, both if you're speaking like I was, but also if you're not playing with headphones in, as I did in my second run through, where it's a pretty quiet sound and it doesn't really convey what's going on. I do think that while having like the button be a charger isn't really an issue in and of itself, something visual to indicate that would also help, like some kind of spinning wheel perhaps that would stop spinning if you're not on the button, or a light that is starting to, you know, burn in. You know, it's going to be dim, 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 and then bright, and then it'll be totally bright when it's on. That is actually done later on in the level, but probably could have been done at that first section just to let players know, like, that's what's going on with that switch. So, kind of player communication. I know it can be a bit troublesome sometimes, but in this case it was actually pretty important. Now, the more major issue that I had with the level was the special gameplay mechanic that Melengard has introduced into this level. You've got those zones where you jump into them and they kind of float you through in sort of the direction that you're going so that you can get up a little bit higher, a little bit further than you would be able to with your regular jump. And like, conceptually that was pretty cool, but in actual practice, and I never felt comfortable with those. I never really felt like I grasped what I was supposed to be doing and how I was supposed to be interacting with those. Sometimes it felt like my momentum was maintained as I was jumping into them. Sometimes it felt like my momentum decayed really, really quickly. I tried jumping in and like not having my thumb on the L stick. I tried jumping in and using air controls. Using air controls seemed to cause the degradation of momentum a lot quicker, but even after multiple attempts with this and multiple plays through the entire level, and I was just never comfortable with that mechanic. And like I said, I don't know how it's being set up. I don't know what the logic is there, so I'm not really sure what advice I could give to make that a little bit more friendly to the players. Like, I consistently would be running into sections where I was just not getting the elevation that I needed to do what looked like they should have been fairly easy jumps. So it was really quite frustrating, and it was a little bit disappointing because I liked the level, and I love it when gameplay mechanics are, like, levels are built around gameplay mechanics. This is definitely necessary here. It's throughout the entire level, and, like, that's cool. I like the fact that there was a little bit of scaffolding at the beginning, and I tried in my last playthrough where, like, I really wasn't doing it for B-rolls, and I didn't need it for the archive, and I was just like, let's sit with this and practice and see if we could figure out what we're doing wrong, and I really couldn't. Like, I was able to complete the level each time that I did it, but it never really felt like I was in control. And that, I think, is going to turn off players ultimately. So that's a pretty big downside. And I like I say, it's a bit of a shame. It's a bit of a disappointment because I love Velma Forever's levels. I think he's a great creator. Almost always just knocks it right out of the park. But this one, I think this one needs a little bit more time in the oven. Now, just as kind of administrata, I'm generally doing the archive episodes while I'm doing the LBsP episodes, but because this is a B-side episode and it's really hard to slot things in the middle of the archive playlist, the archive episode for this is not going to be coming out until January 2nd, because that's where the backlog is. So look for it then. But yeah, I like this level. I do think it's worth a play, hopefully, because Melangard is a very active creator and does take feedback really well. So hopefully some of the points that I'm mentioning here will be addressed in the future, so that if you're watching this and you're playing afterwards, maybe you'll have a better experience with it than I did. But I've talked, I think, enough here this go about. So for me, Risco, here in Tokyo, to all of you out there, wherever you may happen to be, thank you, arigato, arigasan ryota, sayonara, see you, and ciao.